Hello, welcome to this section on giving the grapheme quizzes. So we're going to talk about what a grapheme quiz is, why you would give a grapheme quiz, and some of the different parts of how you're going to actually give that grapheme quiz. This video will be more information concerning the grapheme quizzes, and the next video that you'll be able to watch will be an actual demonstration of giving those grapheme quizzes, okay? So let's start with number one, which is just the question of what is a grapheme quiz? So a grapheme quiz is to test the student's knowledge of the graphemes. You have been studying graphemes with the students since before they started any lists. And so even before you give your first spelling quiz, you should be giving grapheme quizzes, because grapheme quizzes are to test to see if the students are understanding the graphemes that you're teaching to them. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick 5 graphemes. The curriculum will actually pick the graphemes for you for the majority of the time. Only during the first few beginning weeks would you actually make some grapheme quizzes to try to test what the students are maybe having a harder time with. So every day you've been going through your graphemes with the students, you've been flipping the cards, they've been saying them. And what they've been doing is they've been seeing the visual cue, and then they've been speaking out the audio cue. And what we're going to do is we're going to reverse the role with a grapheme quiz. You are going to speak the grapheme. So you would say something like ah, o, oo. And what you're doing is you're expecting the students to then write the grapheme that you have spoken. And actually I will have you take grapheme quizzes as a part of this program, where you'll be able to click on the audio, listen to me say the audio for the grapheme, and you should type in the correct grapheme for that audio. So this is what the students are going to be doing. They're going to be hearing the audio now and presenting or writing down the grapheme. In the previous video, we have talked about how it's very important that students already know how to write if they're going to be doing this program. And it is for these grapheme quizzes, and then also being able to write the words very soon in the future that students need to be able to write before they can do a grapheme quiz. So that's what a grapheme quiz is. It will be 5 graphemes. You will speak the audio for the students. You will be speaking the phonemes for each grapheme. For the multi-letter graphemes, you will want to make sure that you're explaining them. For example, we have 2 O 2-letter O's. One O 2-letter O looks like this, and one O 2-letter O looks like this. And so we'd want to explain that. We would say, for this one, we'd say O 2-letter O that we may use at the end of English words. And then we expect the students to be able to write that. Or we say O 2-letter O that we may not use at the end of English words, and we would expect students to know that this is the O 2-letter O that we may not use. We need to make sure that we differentiate for the student so that they don't have to guess. We should be as clear as we can when we're giving these to the students so that they can write down the correct grapheme. So that's what the grapheme quiz is. The next one is, how do we know which one to review? So this is a review for you. We talked about this in the last, but here's my first list, and you'll notice here that it tells me which graphemes I should be reviewing. Now it's important that you understand now how the spelling list will work. You won't start the spelling list until the students are very familiar with the 26 single-letter graphemes, and you don't want to go at any kind of a breakneck speed. Here's how you're going to be handling these, especially in the classroom. If you're working with a one-on-one student, then you could handle this a little bit differently, but in the classroom, this is how you would want to handle it. The first week, week number 1, you'll want to do list 1. You'll work through at a pace of about 6 to 7 words per day, because there's 20 words in a list, so you'll be doing 6 to 7. If you do 5, then it's fine also, for 4 days. So you'll do this for 4 days. And then on the final day, last day of the week, you're going to do a quiz. The quiz will be on all 20 of the words. We have this quiz book for you to use, okay? This is the teacher test booklet, and it will explain how to give those. It has actual details for how to give them, and then also it will have the words here in a list. Later on in the time, you will actually have review words that you'll do with the students and review sentences. Right at the beginning, you will not have any review words and review sentences. How you know when to present a review word or review sentence is when it shows up in a list. Okay, so here is a different list. This says it is list number 17. It's a quiz, so you'll give them these words, and then you will give them these review words also, which is 21 through 25. The beginning of this booklet actually presents you with the opportunity to copy the tests or quizzes for the students. These are for the primary students, and this is before you have any review words. And then you have primary with the review words, okay? So here's the primary with the review words. And you have a difference between a quiz and a test, because a quiz happens at the end of this first week. Then in the second week, you will do list number 2. You'll do 4 days, 6 to 7 words. Again, you could actually just do 5 words. I like to try to get ahead so that the students can have a little bit more time and we can review with them, okay? And you'll do these words using the dictation method that we haven't spent a lot of time going over yet together. But don't worry too much about that. Just know you're doing 1 week, list 1, second week, list 2, and on the last day, you're doing a quiz over list number 2. Then the third week. In the third week, you are going to do a test over list 1 and list 2. Okay? Why that's important is when we're talking about our graphemes and our grapheme quizzes, here you will have a set of graphemes that you will be teaching to the students. Same is true for list number 2. When you get to this third week, where at the end of this week you're going to present a test over both of these, you need to be reviewing the graphemes that were a part of this week and a part of this week. Okay, so here you're reviewing a certain set of graphemes, here you're reviewing a different set of graphemes, and on this third week, you're going to put both of them together and be reviewing them with the students, okay? And then inside of your book, inside of your teacher booklet, it will also tell you above which quiz is on. So the first week that I do this, I'm going to quiz on these 5. Then on week number 3, I'm going to give 2 grapheme quizzes. The first one will be this one, a part of this list number 1, and then a part of list number 2, I will also have a second quiz. And so I will give 2 quizzes in week number 3. So I have a grapheme quiz, and also finally 2 grapheme quizzes. And at the end, on Friday, I'm going to take a quiz over the list of words, and then a test that has words from both of the 2 lists. And so that's how we know which graphemes to be reviewing, and also that's how we know which graphemes to present a quiz over. Now, when you're done with your quiz, it is going to be really important to do this final step, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but that's to record how the students are doing, because you want to know what the students are struggling with. Which graphemes are they having a hard time decoding? That will help you as a teacher to be better prepared to serve their needs. Okay? Finally, I want to talk to you about how to make a grapheme quiz. So if you'd come over here with me, I'll show you how we would make a grapheme quiz together. Okay, so here is my grapheme quiz set. These are the students' quizzes here, and this is going to be my copy as the teacher, okay? So what I need to do is I need to put the date up here. So today is the 15th. Okay, and then what I can do is I can take my list. I'm working on list number 1, and I am not doing the third week, I am doing the first week. So I have these ones here. So I'm going to copy those onto this list here and try not to get my hands in the way. Okay, so we've got Q, U, Z, A, S, and G. Okay. And this is really all I need to do in preparation, except for to cut these into their pieces and be ready to give them to the students. Okay, so right before I start my quiz, I would give those to the students. So come on back to the board with me, and I will show you what else you need to do as a part of actually giving this quiz to the students. Okay, so to actually give a quiz to students, and like I said before, the next video that's down below will actually demonstrate giving a quiz to students. I hope you'll be able to take the time to watch that also. But there's a few points here that I want to talk about when you're going to give a grapheme quiz to the students. Number one, just like normal, you want to make sure that the students' desks are clear. So they should really only have their pencil bags, maybe their water bottle, depends on your classroom rules. But you want to make sure that their desks are nice and clear and they're ready to take this grapheme quiz. Point number two is, I need to be ready. So am I ready for this? We just did the preparation together, which was very simple, with the exception of we didn't cut them into slips yet. But when you cut them into slips, you'll have these little thin strips that you'll be able to give out to the students, and you will keep the master copy at the top to be able to present to the students. And again, you'll watch the video below to see what that looks like. Finally, I need to give out the papers. I'm going to go ahead and go up to the class. Normally, I'll pass them out in rows or in columns, depending on how the classroom is set up. And I'll let the row or the column pass them out to the rest. That saves me time as a teacher. So I will give them a stack and they will pass them out to the rest of their row or column. And then I'm going to make sure that they're ready. I'm going to make sure that they have their cover sheets ready. I don't want them to be able to look at each other's work as they're taking this grapheme quiz. So I'm going to make sure that they have their cover sheet prepared, ready to go. I will sometimes let them use their spelling book for this. Obviously they wouldn't be allowed to use grapheme cards, but they could use their spelling book as long as they're not opening it up. That's just my personal preference. You as a teacher may decide that you want to actually have cover sheets ready for them, and that I think would be a great idea also. So once you're ready, then you go ahead and dictate those sounds. So you remember the very first one on our quiz that we just got ready was ku, k. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay class, the very first sound that we're going to write together is ku, k. Now I'd like for you to write the grapheme ku, k. And that's ku, k. I will normally dictate 3 times for each grapheme. At the very end of the quiz, I will ask if anybody needs it to be repeated, but you don't want to waste time here. If the students aren't understanding, then it's actually better that they get them wrong so that you can help them to grow rather than for them to listen 17 times and finally get it right. Because if they're guessing but trying to get closer, then it's actually not good for them. So you do want to go ahead and move at a good brisk pace throughout this quiz. Finally, I'm going to grade, and when I grade, I'm going to grade with the students. I will actually present to them on the board what the answers to that quiz was. I'm going to expect them to have a red marker or pen or pencil out. What they're going to do is if they get one wrong, they'll put a red X on the number, and then they'll turn them in to me. Now, I'm also going to grade them, and what I normally do is I take off 15 points for one missed problem on the quiz, and if they don't catch it, I normally take off an extra 2 points. So it's up to them to catch the mistake. If they do catch the mistake, then it's -15. If they don't catch the mistake, then it will be -17 points for their quiz. So that's what we're going to do. They're going to grade it, then they're going to turn it in. Again, just like when I passed them out, I'll have them turn them into one student or a student at the front row so that I can come and grab them all together and not waste a lot of time walking around to the desks to get them. Okay, and then I'm going to check and record, and that's again a very important step, is to make sure that I'm not just checking, but I'm also recording how the students are doing. I do have a sheet that I will use for that recording that I may be able to show you later on, but that sheet will say, have all the students' names, it will have all of the graphemes on it, and when a student makes a mistake on a certain grapheme, I'll just put a very little red X next to the grapheme and their name so that I know that the student is struggling. This will help me to see a couple things. It will help me to see patterns. If many students are missing one grapheme or a number of graphemes, then I know I need to review that grapheme. If instead it's one student that's struggling in a number of graphemes, I know I need to encourage that student to study their graphemes using the PowerPoint or the videos. Or if a student is struggling with just 1 or 2 graphemes, it's very good for me to know so that I can have them review those at home. I can contact their parents and let them practice that specifically. So this has been an introduction to the grapheme quizzes. Down below you'll watch an actual demonstration of presenting a grapheme quiz to students, and I hope that this is helpful for you.